Well, hello, everybody. We hope you're doing well this evening. Better than some of us on the panel.
Yeah. Yeah.
My voice is shot. I'm shot. Everything's shot. So we're going to let Blake and Jen and Mitch do most of the talking. We will have a special guest joining us in just a moment, and you're really going to like hearing from her. She is right now making her way back to where she can stream with us. So just bear with us, and we will get to talking to Miss GMT, not to be confused with the dude in Australia.
No affiliation.
I was going to say, is there a relation there? You know,
No.
cousins or whatever. You know,
Just coincidence.
Yeah,
Just coincidence. I will say that I don't think. Let's see. If I don't know if we're having a race tonight or not. Somebody tell me there in the chat if we're having a race tonight. But either way, you can get into the next race by just becoming a member of the channel, super chatting, super stickering, or doing a member chat. Any of those things will get you into the race either tonight or whenever we have the next race going on. And let's see who's in the chat this evening. Lonely Wrist, yes. We have Keeping Watch UK. And when we were talking about this last week, after the show, Lucy was one of the first people that came up from the Watchbox Diaries. She says often she has the female guests on her channel. That's true. So I would love to do a show with Lucy, and I've asked a bunch of UK creators, and you're right, the time zone is the problem because of our work commitments, we really can't be a lot earlier, and they don't want to stay up till 3 a.m, which is what time it is there now. So
we're having one, Ollie. We're having a race.
Yeah. Okay. We're having a race. Thank you. And let's talk to Miss GMT, our very special guest. How are you doing? Can we hear you now?
Hopefully you let me know.
No, it's the same.
Well, I downloaded the app. The iPods are connected. They're not well. I picked up the Apple, but I'm sorry. I'm coming actually from the left so just welcome back now.
Yeah.
Very good.
Once you get back, we'll try.
Yeah. Once you get back, we'll try it again. How's that?
It could be the browser.
Yeah. That sounds good. I will definitely try it in the car.
Thank you so much, and we'll look forward to seeing you when you get back. We thank you so much for being with us tonight, and she will be back as soon as she can get to a more stable place where she's not walking and where we can get all the connections figured out.
I wonder how she's going to put up with us.
Very well. I'm a sweetheart.
Question.
I'm a sweetheart. I don't know what y'all's problems is.
we're such a hostile crowd. I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, we are.
An acquired taste, start early. That's what we were just talking about. So, yes. Yay, I'm number 2. Oh, wait, I'm number 2. Bill D, thank you so much for being here. Along with Ducky and, of course, the captain. Let's party. Absolutely. Ryan is here. Thank you for being with us, Ryan. We really appreciate that. Of course, our man Ali Reza is in the house and will be on the stream here. Maybe we'll see. I see him in the back room, and I don't know if he wants to come on. And if Gingy says we're having one, I'll do it. There you go. Uh-oh. So it was your fault, Jen. I got you.
Yep. It's all my fault. I will take full blame for that.
Take the full blame or full credit.
Yeah. Jen is hooked on the ponies, you know.
That's right. AB is here and upvoted as well. So we are having a race tonight. So let's get some super chats in as we wait for our guests to be able to return. First of all, I guess we should figure out what's on everybody's wrist, and I'll keep it really, really simple. On my wrist all week because I haven't left the house is my simple little Seiko dive style Seiko 5 because I just haven't felt like putting anything else on because I haven't had a reason to because I've been in the house, mostly in bed for the last 5 days. So fantastic.
Yeah.
Mr. Blake Ray, what do you have on this evening, sir?
I have the IWC Portugueser Tribeca Film Festival limited edition
Cool.
That's pretty.
Ooh.
of 100 pieces.
Holy crap. I like the red subdials.
It's
Yeah, I
beautiful.
do too.
Very nice.
I love how they
Yeah.
open that sucker all up back
Oh,
there too.
wow.
Um,
Dang.
I can't take credit for owning this because this is my friend's watch, but he has my my Spitfire. So we're just in an
Okay.
IWC trade.
We're trading.
So-
That's cool.
Yep.
Very nice.
Very cool. Our Mary Mitch, what's going on?
Mary Mitch. I, continuing the IWC theme, have on my Petit Prince Mana Pusher Chrono limited edition. It's a watch I hadn't worn much until about 3 days ago, and now I don't feel like changing it.
Such a shame.
Very nice.
It's a shame to be
I
sitting
know,
there
right?
without no wrist
Nice
time.
watch.
Yeah.
Very
I know, right?
nice. So, Miss Jen, what has been on your wrist today?
Nothing really because I've been painting, but this is the watch of the day again.
Yay!
This is my
That's
my
cool.
aquanaut or my folkwanaut, as I like to call it.
Or her aqua knot.
Yep. We've got bad puns here, kids. Sorry.
Yep. And we've got the ghost of Yiddish Gambino joining us. Hey, y'all, on my way home from work, working late tonight, glad to listen to the stream on the road. Thank you, sir. Drive safely.
Got to pay for those purchases somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really.
Right.
Old timey says pretty. And there you go. Too many IWC. Oh, noes. And again, to enter the race tonight, all you need is a super chat, member milestone chat. You can join the Watch Hangout as well and do gift memberships. If you do that, you're also in the race. And we'll pick one or two of you at the end to be in just because we love you.
We do.
I know.
We do.
Collector Invest is wearing his Tissot PRX. Very nice watch, Collector. Very nice. I appreciate it. Did someone say bad puns? Yes.
It's one of my
we did.
specialties. Yes.
Yep.
And so, yeah, if we can get you guys on when you get home there, Gambino, we'll have even more bad puns because you're pretty good at it too. So let me, I guess before we start, before Miss GMT gets on with it, with the stream, let me ask you, Jen, as our normal, regular female panelist. I did say normal and regular. I don't know why I said that, but
I don't know why either. But
I mean, obviously you're not normal if you're hanging out with us. But as our regular female panelist, what got you into watch collecting, and why do you think it is such a male-dominated hobby?
Well, I've always been like fascinated with mechanical things. Since I was really young. I'm very science driven. I'm analytical. So it just kind of has been an interest of mine to figure out how things work. And so that's kind of how I started into watches. I tore apart my mom's Mickey Mouse Timex, which she still will never forgive me for, and ruined the hairspring now that I know how things work. And yeah, it was gone forever at that point. But that kind of sparked the bug long term. And I'm a trained mechanic, so that tells you how far down the road I've gone with that. But I think, and I think the STEM program kind of plays into this as well of, you know, a lot of those mechanical type jobs or scientific jobs are very male focused. Or they have been in the past, and now they're trying to foster that, where they're trying to give opportunities to females to be able to learn that kind of stuff. And I know I'm not the only female that's very mechanically driven. it just depends, it depends on your brain. But that's kind of what drew me into watches and why I think there tends to be more males involved in it. Um,
Yeah.
so
Well, I want to bring up something that Always Best Care Senior Services brought up here too. One Day Retro, though, with the 6-month member chat. So they're in the race tonight. For the win, I won't, but it's worth a try. You never know. So far, you're the only entrant. So you could probably win if we had the race in 10 minutes. This though, I wanted to bring up. The answer is male-dominated watches. There is almost nothing interesting for women's watches. Do you find I find for one thing that the line, unless you're talking about massive 45 millimeter something or others, the line between men and women's watches is very blurry these days.
Yeah, it just
Yeah.
seems like they shrink it down and, use mother of pearl or throw diamonds on it and call it a day or something. You know what I mean? Like, that's just what I think. I don't know why they do that.
That's what they think women want. And to a large extent, that might be correct. But there is, I think, a growing number of women who, for some of the reasons that Jen mentioned, are getting more interested in engineering and science and technology, and are interested in the same sorts of watches that men have been interested in for years and years.
Yeah, you would think there would be more of a finer line, because a lot of the girls that, at least in my life, right? Not that I have a lot, but they're all into jewelry.
The ladies, man.
Yeah. All my ladies are into jewelry. But technically watches get grouped up with jewelry, right? So So yeah.
Yeah, I think, for me, when I look through collections, so like I'll pop onto a site like, Patek or even Omega or something like that, just to see what they have in the women's offerings. And I'm like, I'm not a gem set person. And I don't know very many women from day to day that are going to wear a gem set. There are moments for that, of course. If you're going to dress up, you want to have a nice piece. That's probably the time you're going to pull out the gem set. And I think a wonderful example of a piece that women are looking for is like with Sophie's Watch World. She has the Yachtmaster. You wouldn't think that that's a woman's watch, but it's the color combination that she has with it that makes it a women's watch. It's more neutral, and then it's got that pop of blue. So it feels more like a jewelry piece as opposed to, the regular Yachtmaster with the PVD coated bezel and, red gold. As cool as that is, it works better in the titanium with the rhodium dial. And so, yeah, I would rather them make more interesting case shapes and styles than gem set stuff.
Yeah.
That doesn't. I think that's why I like Piguet for their case shapes, Cartier for their case shapes. I think that's why Cartier is so strong. They've recognized that line is so thin between men and women's watches for centuries. And that's why I would argue they are stronger than Rolex. They are at a price point that a lot of people can afford. And they have a piece that you can wear every day in any situation, and it looks appropriate. It's not gaudy. You can get gaudy ones if you want to, but a tank, you can wear a tank anytime. It's a no-brainer. You throw it on and you move on.
And it's actually true for both men and women.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can wear a tank anytime if you're a guy too.
Yeah, Santos is the same way. A lot of women are wearing the Santos Dumont now. That's a big one that people are getting into. And so, I think that line is way, way thinner than they want to recognize.
I see a lot of people wearing the Panthers as well. Like a lot, I say that's probably one of the more popular ladies' pieces from Cartier. I mean, the Tank Panther. I mean, I see them everywhere. It seems like, at least maybe in Vegas, but
Yeah.
oh, there we
Interesting.
go.
There you go. Interesting that point that DP brings up that my wife wears watches and is more interested in 36 millimeter rather than the smaller 28 millimeter quote ladies watch. I would say that's the same for my girlfriend, who I bought. The first watch I bought her was the typical 28 millimeter, and everything else she wears is 36. So, that's all I bought her from here on out is 36 or bigger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think this piece here is 34 or 35. But it's perfect. Like it just works. It works with everything. That's why people love the Panther too. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like the Tank. They come up with these models that are so like just straightforward, but they're classy. So
Right.
We can't say Santos Dumont live on air, or Nick will end up with
I
another
know.
one.
you see it 3 times, he'll show up.
Yeah.
He's
just
like
like
Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
And
Groucho Marx used to have a TV show back in like the early 60s, so I barely remember it because I'm old, but whatever. And it was called You Bet Your Life.
yep.
Okay. And there was, one of the shticks was, there was the word of the day. And if the couple or person being interviewed by Groucho said the word of the day, this duck would come down from the rafters with
Yeah.
the word of the day in its beak, and they'd win. The couple or person would win some money. So I feel like today's word of the day or phrase of the day is Santos Dumont.
Yes.
But
And
there's
then
no money involved, but whatever.
no, but then Yiddish Gambino drops out of the ceiling with a Dumont in his mouth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is worth the price of admission.
Absolutely. We want to welcome Miss GMT back to the stream. Hey, how are you doing?
Hi.
Oh my God, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Yay.
Woo.
I'm
First
so
of
glad.
all,
Sorry about that. I thought my AirPods would do me well, but apparently not.
oh no, that's great. We can hear you now, and it's all good. Well, welcome to the show. We're so happy to have you, Blake. I'm so happy that Blake got this set up on short notice with us just last week with you. We were talking after the show on what we're going to do in the future, and he had mentioned that you had been on his show, and I said, well, God, I would love to have her on this show to talk about expanding to more female collectors, or how do you get more females interested in watches, period, because a lot of them just don't want to have anything to do with their traditional watch, and B, get them more interested in, or get more females interested in collecting. And so I'm so happy to have you on. Let me go through a couple of super chats real quick, and then we're going to ask you about that. For the Watch Hangout from Mobster 569, thank you so much. And also from Mobster, has anyone in here tried on a lady's watch and an AD just to see the look on the SA's face? I think I might this weekend. Why not?
Do it. Do it.
I tried on a 37 Royal Oak. I don't know if that's if that's ladies.
I think you gotta ham it up too, and really, especially to see how uncomfortable you can make them. I've definitely done it before, so it's kind of entertaining.
The smallest tank we can find.
With a gem set.
Yeah, there you go.
I was looking at it for something in 22 millimeters. If you have that would be great. Exactly.
They might. So funny. Highly encouraged.
What you gotta show us? We did the wrist check earlier.
Yeah. So my camera's a little weird. There we go. It's like backwards and off from what I'm used to. But oh my gosh, let me see if this will work. So I have on my little Piaget protocol that I just picked up.
There you go.
It's
nice.
really tough to see in this lighting, and I'm sorry I'm not in a better environment. But so I just picked this up. It's a checkered pattern. So talking about size, it's like 23 millimeters by 27. So this is actually not the smallest watch I own, but the second smallest watch I own.
Wow. Okay.
I typically don't love smaller watches, and I talk about this in the pod, but you guys can get a sneak peek. So I'm a 90s baby, so I grew up with tech. So an iWatch wasn't necessarily my first watch, but it was a huge part of my life. So, I think they range now from like 43 to like, I think in like the 50s actually or something, but I'm like, 46, 48 millimeters. Like that was what I was used to wearing on my wrist, obviously for that reason, legibility, to see who texted you at the time or what song was playing. So it doesn't feel uncomfortable to have a larger size watch on. Obviously, there's a lot of exceptions to that rule because there are certain brands that wear larger depending on the lugs, the lug shape, the lug width, the case back, the case shape, like millions of reasons why something could be a certain millimeter but fit differently. But yeah, this is definitely on the smaller side of what I own and typically, but yeah, I haven't gotten much wrist time with it, so.
We've got a super chat from Old Timey real quick. $10. Episode 54-35 is my favorite. You bet your life. Oh my God. Look what you started, Mitch. Groucho's encounter with Albert Hall, couple number 3. Very funny exchange where Groucho looks genuinely thrown by the odd man with the crazy eyes. Enjoy. We'll be looking for that after the show. But let me, because you brought up something real interesting before we get to getting more women into the hobby. And that is that people of your age, and you're my daughter's age, she's also a child in the 90s. Interesting that you talked about the size of the Apple Watch, which was kind of how you got into it. And so therefore size really doesn't make any difference. I think that brings up a really valid point of, because you've seen kind of the disappearance between, or the blurring of the line between men and women watches. Could that be one reason?
I mean, I think so. Absolutely. I don't think the Apple Watch is marketed necessarily towards males or just females. It's marketed towards everyone. So I think that's definitely an entry point, especially in the last couple of decades where a lot of women, I feel like, didn't used to wear wristwatches. I mean, I can't remember my mom really wearing them outside of like when she'd go out to dinner as like a special occasion. It wasn't like a daily. Whereas I think the Apple Watch or Tech Watch generation kind of started that daily carry, EDC almost, for watches. And that was, agnostic of your identity or sexual orientation. So I definitely think that was a liaison.
Yeah, and I think you also bring up a good point too, and that's as far as marketing. Maybe traditional watchmakers should look at their marketing and look at what Apple does to where they don't target a male or female demographic. They market towards everyone.
People. Imagine that.
Imagine that. People.
I'm curious to get the consensus from the ladies on the panel. Where does the hobby have to go to get more female participation?
We can start with you, Miss GMT.
I was just gonna say,
dropping the bombs.
I know I'm not the only female, which is amazing and definitely a rarity. So I did want to say, hey Jen, or Timepiece Temptress. It's nice to like virtually meet you, and I'm so grateful to be on this kind of watch hang with you. So whether we have the same opinion or not, again, it just shows that we're people. But I can take a stab at this question first. So. And the question is, what needs to change for more women to get interested in the hobby? And I definitely think some of it's exposure. Again, I think from hearing what I did early on when I was having audio issues, Jen, you're a mechanic, I think, and kind of come from more of a STEM background and approach, which, I also am the a scientific field, so I'm a food scientist by day. So I definitely, can relate to that, which is typically a male-dominated industry. Also come from the culinary side as well, which is an even more male-dominated industry. So I think my whole life I've always kind of been in that. So a little more exposure to male hobbies, but I think it's just approach and interest, and to some degree how we're raised or how we're kind of programmed from an early age. I know a lot of my male counterparts, the way they purchase is so much different than a female's in terms of mindset, perspective, and what they're interested in. And I think the way you approach information is different as a female. A lot of females, if you look at it from like a fashion sense, right, we're talking about the Apple kind of hype earlier, or tech watches. A lot of it is like, oh, my friends are doing it, so I'll look the part, or my friends have one, so I need to have one too. And this, as examples, and like luxury, like a Birkin bag. If your friend has one, you got to find out how to get one. And it's not necessarily because you have a personal sense of style or taste. It's just because it's like what everyone's doing. Starbucks pink drink. Someone mentioned they have a daughter. I'm sure she's into the Starbucks pink drink. And it's kind of more of a visual statement, I think. Whereas for males, it's more of what's behind it, the mechanics that power it. What makes it unique, vintage. I feel like a lot of females don't really necessarily care or go into vintage. They almost prefer like what's shinier or newer, right? New is better, newer is better. And that, depending on how you're raised, isn't always necessarily the case. So I think it's just different. And in terms of getting more females interested, I definitely think information is a way to start, and approachable information. So, maybe going super technical or right up front is a little scary and intimidating. So like a soft approach into what makes it so interesting. And things, for me especially, why I continue to love watches, is learning those little tidbits about a watch, whether it's they only made this style of hand in this time period. So you can see it on certain watches, if it has this set of hands or this loom, like that was only from this time period to that time period, which makes it very special, very unique, and only a limited kind of production. So it might be difficult to find one. And if you do, you're a part of that. So I think that is something that's really interesting and informational that, might be more appealing potentially.
We have a $10 super chat from Molly Resin, then we'll get Jen's perspective on that. I don't much like the unisex trend myself. When a woman can pull off a masculine accessory, or some men pull off a feminine accessory, I want that to be an experience. I still want separation. Interesting. What do you? Let me add, Jen. Let me get your perspective on what Miss GMT was talking about, and then we'll talk about Ollie here.
Okay, like as far as getting female friends into watches and stuff, part of I think the issue I think that most women might have is those watch circles are very machismo driven, for lack of a better phrase, a lot of times. And women will come in and they will attempt to say something, and then they'll just get disregarded. And if you want to be part of a group and interact with a group and you can't interact with them, that's no fun. Like, that's an experience that's going to stick with you. And so and not everybody has the social skills to just be able to jump in and be able to get everybody to endear themselves to them. Some people it's easy to do that with, some people it's not. And but as far as like style of watches and stuff, I mean, you said something about vintage, and the first thing I think of is show them Piaget, and I promise you they will fall in love. Like, there isn't a stone dial that hasn't won somebody over at some point. Like, it's just it's something special, and I think exposing them to people like you, Miss GMT, old watch lady who shows people how to stack stuff, like the double watch on the wrist, and she like triple watch on a wrist, and she does it all the time, and you're like, that actually works. Like, that doesn't seem crazy, you know? It's those kind of experiences, like, okay, well, how do I wear this? Like, why would I want this, you know? And so I think if you show, you normalize it for people, because I think some of it is just, it's like, well, I've never really had that experience with, you know, finding a watch or looking for a watch, or, you know, appreciating something about a watch. And so it's just kind of walking people into that. If they like, they see a watch on your wrist and they're like, oh, that looks really cool. And you just like stop and take a couple minutes just to explain maybe one or two things to them. That's going to make a huge difference in pulling people in. It's about that connection.
There's also a self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing at play here that I alluded to a little earlier. To the extent that watch companies or jewelry companies believe that women are just interested in fashion, then women will be just interested in fashion. Or a large, you know, and it takes a couple of things, but one of the things is breaking out of that marketing mold over an extended period of time to try to introduce women to the fact that there's more to watches than a piece of jewelry, and there's a reason why you should spend more than $50 on a watch. You know, of course, it represents, you know, the micro engineering, and there's a history to it. It's the earliest form of micro machining, and to a certain extent, I'm a crazy, overeducated scientist myself by training, and one of the things that attracted me to watch collecting was that I was spending almost all of my professional time in very high tech, doing very high tech things, and watches were sort of a flashback to the old days, you know, and that was sort of a romantic notion for me. But until the watch companies use that approach or something like it, and addressing it to women, it's hard to break out of the vicious circle that I was talking about.
So something that was well, Miss GMT had brought up to me, and it totally slipped my mind, but the first wristwatch was actually designed for a female.
Yep.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, because men back then were all pocket watch all the time,
Yeah.
and you know, women went from the little watch around the neck to actually a wristwatch.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a fairy tale at this point, but I heard it was for the Queen of Naples, right?
Yeah, Piguet tries to push that, the La Reine de Naples.
Yeah.
Hey, that's facts.
Is it?
They would never make up marketing stuff.
Oh no!
Wait, I mean,
all these brands are so honest.
Yeah,
that's right. Just like we all know that the Rolex Explorer 369 dial was on top of Everest. We know that because Rolex told us that. Right?
And below will say Omega never made it to the moon, basically.
That's right.
They paid them off.
Somehow Blancpain like was founded like a new year every year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just every year, it's just a different year.
I feel like I gotta start drinking about my age. You know, every year just changes a different year. What I want it to be.
That can work. It's been working out for them since 1735. So you've got a chance.
I'm trying to convince people that I'm 39, but it hasn't worked so far.
You're only as old as you feel.
About as well as it's worked for me, my friend. Not at all. So back to what Ali was talking about in the super chat about, do we actually need the separation, or he kind of prefers the separation because there are or should be male experiences and female experiences. What do you think about that train of thought?
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily think that everything has to be approached in a unisex fashion. I just also don't think that you should be penalized if you have an attraction to something that's not necessarily meant for you, I guess, in that context. For example, like currently, like we talked about earlier, a lot of watch brands market watches with, floral motifs or diamond this, diamond that, gem sets, or there's just like a lack of unique complications in the current existing, watches that are out there today. So for me personally, I love watch complications. I have very few time-only watches, and I like that about watches. So there's just not as much to choose from. So in some way, I'm sort of forced into male kind of watches just out of what I like. So I don't necessarily disagree with that. I understand they definitely want some such separation or to have male experiences. We do have different experiences, but maybe this is more of a signal then to watch brands to have more diversity and think about women differently than just data points.
Yeah, good idea there. And I will clarify, I didn't say, or Ali didn't say that there should be separation, that he's just doesn't much like the unisex trend. So wanted to bring that up and clarify that, because he clarified that in chat. So I wanted to make sure we were very clear about that. So when you go to these events and meetups and the like, and how are you treated there? Are you treated like everybody else? Are the men treated differently? Are the women treated differently? What do you see when you go to, say, watch brand events and then maybe just like watch meetup type events?
Yeah, so in my experience, watch meetups and watch events have been the best. That's what solidifies this hobby for me, is the community and the exposure. So I have actually had a very nice, warm, and receiving welcome, which I hope is most other people's experiences. I think the less warming experiences that I've had in terms of watch hangs has been on the social media side. And again, I don't know if it's just because it's not in person and people are behind screens, or what that difference is, but I've always welcomed a lot of discussion and dissonance, because it's what makes this hobby and community great. Either there's something to learn about that, or just difference of opinions. Like it's what makes it fun and interesting. I have a friend who has a very distinctive and diverse taste in watches, and I'm always learning something new from him, even if I don't share the same taste that he does. So I think that's what keeps it interesting.
And Jen, I mean, you kind of talked about your experience at some watch events, being with a bunch of macho guys wanting to show off. that wasn't though at every event, is it?
Well, my experience has been purely online. I'm a hermit, so I don't really leave much. So, yeah, on the social side, I would definitely agree with Miss GMT on that it can be a bit trollish on the social media side of things, just because people have disconnected behind the keyboard. They don't. If they have to face somebody face to face and say that, they would never say it. They wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah.
Chad, I love that you said that people had to be like macho, because I guess I have experienced that too to some degree, but I feel like I don't have the macho stand-up watch to so I'm not like picked out of a crowd of for that reason. But it is funny, because I feel like definitely some guys will kind of peacock with their hype watches.
Oh yeah.
I've been at tables like dinner, and it's mostly been male. It's been all guys, but one guy, oh, what are you wearing? Boop, pulls up his sleeve, and then it's like a Meteorite Daytona. Other guy pulls out a sleeve, Le Mans Daytona, then a little baby Le Mans, and then the other guy's just got steel Speedy or steel. I mean, it was just a table full of Daytonas that night, but it just was like, and then people were passing watches, which is cool and fun and all, but it just, it just, I don't know, it felt.
It can be cool to see those watches, and sometimes it actually makes me appreciate my lesser perceived cool watches when I see some of those and actually interact with them. So honestly, sometimes it's a double-edged sword of, these macho guys that check out my Le Mans Daytona, how expensive it is, yada, yada, yada. But at the same time, then I go home and I'm like, no, I really appreciate it. Someone mentioned they had their Seiko 5 on, and I was like, I love my little Seiko 5 Arabic dial. I actually really prize that watch. It's a cool watch.
We've got Ali in the background bringing up this meme, which is probably pretty accurate. Expectation and reality. You've got all the guys. Oh gosh, that's so great. And
show the
what
case
you were
back?
expecting were every woman just dropping at your feet because
it's
you had
kind of interesting though, psychologically too. I mean, you mentioned what was something that would lower the barrier for more women to enter in, and a lot of women kind of do things to impress other women or kind of stand out against other women. So when I saw that meme, it made me think of that actually, whereas men, they might purchase a watch to try and attract a female, whereas women are purchasing big purchase items to probably attract more women, not men. So it's not necessarily the same on the flip side. They want more of female attention than male attention. So that's an interesting meme you bring up.
Yeah, and what you talk about as far as women trying to impress women more than men, that's a very interesting thing that I think all us men have heard before, especially if we've been married before or had a long-term girlfriend or whatever, that when you're that's really what's going on here. It has nothing to do with dudes. Yeah. It's all about I'm better than you kind of a thing, right?
Sadly, I mean, from what I've been hearing a lot on the psychology behind it,
it's a peacocking thing, for sure.
Yeah.
So it's not just us guys that do it for the other guys, man. It's everybody's trying to prove that they're just better than everybody. One thing I've found is that I'm not better than anybody, so that's all I've learned. So, what we were talking about the difference between online and in person, and obviously Miss GMT is on Instagram. Do you have a YouTube channel yet?
So I started one when I started my Instagram, but it was difficult because I kind of did more short form content than long form, and YouTube prioritizes long form. So I don't really use it. I'm primarily on Instagram and watch meetups in person.
So you're on Instagram, so you have the online presence, and I'm sure you have to deal with a lot of trolls, and a lot of women are said, don't show your face, do a bunch of wrist shots if you're doing a watch thing. You show your face, everything about your life is there on Instagram. How do you deal with the a-holes?
I was like, don't remind me, no.
Yeah.
It's a blessing and a curse. So it was a conscious decision to be as face forward, I guess, as I wanted it to be. And the main reason it's a two-prong approach. One is that I truly wanted to meet more women in the hobby because I knew they were out there and I just wasn't getting exposure necessarily to them. So I knew if it was just a wrist shot, I probably wasn't going to get the same, I guess, welcome as I would if my face was behind it. And the other approach is really just to be real. I'm a real human being. I have real interests. I have real hobbies. And I purposely don't overshare on social media, or at least I try not to, because it is still public information that's out there, but nowadays it is so easy to find public information on anyone or anything. So like, I think I wanted to take that risk for the reward of meeting people. So it's been a year, and I would say at this point it's paid off, I think. You know, knock on wood, I really hope nothing negative happens. I know that there's some female watch counterparts that I have that negative things have happened because of how publicly they post on social or too much detail. And it's a very real thing, and it's a terrifying thing. But I think that's also the world we live in. So my approach as a person is I'd rather just not be scared about it and take that risk. But
Now, how much trouble do you get from people trying to slide into your DMs and all of that mess?
oh my God, Jen, do you want to take this one first? How long is this?
I don't have too much of an issue because I don't show my face. So
we were planning an episode where she just shows us all the DMs. You know, we were planning that. Censored, of course.
I've had some chats with people about writing a book. You know, like a picture book too. Which would be
oh God!
Oh my goodness!
You could do a coloring book, you know.
Yes, that's so good.
Holly Reza for $5. What's the old saying? Toast our wives and girlfriends. May they never meet and realize we bought them the same watch. Absolutely. Absolutely. Blake, why don't you take over for a little bit for me? I will be right back, but take over with some of the questions for Ms. GMT and Jen as well.
Yeah. Oh God, this is gonna be putting me on the spot here. But no. And yeah, I think you guys are bringing up good points because I can speak for myself, of course, but I know I want to see more participation. I got into this hobby by myself, and I didn't have anybody to get into this hobby with, and now I'm here with all of you. But I'm very much kind of the stance as the more the merrier. I don't care who you are, where you're from. We're already in a small hobby. And then I found out as I got into the hobby, we're segmented by how much money we have. Mm-hmm. Right? So like the Patek guys are here, the Rolex guys are there, the AP guys are there. And then the Casio and Orient and all them are over here, and it seemed weird to me. So it seemed weird to me. So.
Yeah, I think, one of the other groups that I'm involved with, they're great, but I think it's funny because they're starting to get to the point where there's not another watch to one up somebody. I mean, one of the guys, he got a Platona, a Le Mans, and a Richard Mille within 3 months. Like, okay.
Yikes.
And the other guy, one of the other guys, has a ceramic AP that he bought secondhand and asked AP if he could do that, and they said yes, because he's that good of a customer. He jumped the line. So he has a ceramic AP. And he has a Richard Mille. He has about every AP you can think of. He's got Pateks. He's got everything. They both have everything. And it's just like, okay, well, you really can't one up. It's like, how many Daytonas or Le Mans can you really pull out, Yeah. And so you did get that segmentation for a while. And I think it's come to this point where it's just like, well, we don't have that to kind of build tension with anymore. What do we talk about, And it's kind of funny to see how things go sometimes.
It's interesting because the in watch collecting and watches in general, there's a huge spread of prices. Mm-hmm. In other areas where I inherited the collecting gene, I'll talk about that later because some other random thoughts have entered what passes as my brain.
Get them out, Mitch.
What?
I said, get them out, Mitch.
Yeah. But in other things like boots and pocket knives and fountain pens, the spread in prices is far less. And so there is less of this conscious or unconscious notion of upstaging somebody or figuring out who's got the most money in people who collect these other things. Where in watches, even though people aren't trying to be obnoxious, it almost seems like they're being obnoxious if they show up with their collection and they've got 3 APs, 6 Rolexes, and and 2 Richard Milles, and versus a fountain pen show where the difference, everyone's collection is more or less the same in terms of the amount of money that they may have invested in each fountain pen. It's
Yeah.
an interesting phenomenon.
$5 super chat from Ali Reza. Miss and Jen, Rolex no date sub are one of the upcoming new time-only Omegas. Mitch can chime in too. That stud.
Well, if you've got it, flaunt it.
So what do you guys think of this compared to a no date sub?
I don't like that burgundy bezel. Like, what's going on with that?
I'm not a big fan of the gold with burgundy bezel either. But the all black, of course,
Where did they come up with that colorway?
It's the color of the year.
Is
The
it?
trendy Cabernet Cranberry Burgundy Red.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
This year is almost over. Please, come on.
Yeah. They're gonna milk it for all
I know.
they can.
So which one?
If it wasn't for the
white.
Yeah, go ahead, Jen.
I like both models as far as like the sub and like a Seamaster. If I did a Seamaster, it'd be white dial, black bezel. Like, I just love that. The white wave dial is just throw it on a red strap. I'm done. I'm good. But I love the no date sub as well. Like, I think it's funny. One of the guys in the other group is like, you always end up at a sub. I don't care what anybody says. And he's got a Tiffany stamp Patek. And he's like, I'm going to die with a sub. I know I'm going to die with the sub. Everybody's going to end up with the sub. Like, that's where you end up. That's the end of the journey. It's not Patek. It's not AP. He's
I've never heard that.
It's something that you can wear all the time. It's just that watch that you can beat around in. You can live in, It's got stories.
There's so many watches like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the sub's not the only one.
But the sub is the one that a lot of people want. Like, everybody's like, they know the sub. They know the Submariner. It's got the history.
If you don't have a sub, once you get a sub, and I'm probably going to be murdered for saying this, but then you realize there's nothing special about a sub.
It doesn't have to be special, though.
And Blake just got put in timeout.
Yeah, he was like, okay, I'm out now. I said it, I'm out before I get the backlash.
I have a feeling that Ali cut him out.
No,
yes, that would be correct.
Yeah. Just like I said, it was my opinion, right? As a sub owner, I can say that, right?
Right.
In general, I'm a bigger Omega fan than a Rolex fan. But until Omega gets rid of the wart on the Seamasters, I would go with the no date sub.
Well, you can get the Seamaster 300 Heritage.
That's true. I forgot about that.
How could you forget about that? That's the best one.
You're right. I just was focused on the pictures that Ali put up.
Okay.
I'm easily led around like that. It's just,
That's all right.
So your thoughts on that, Miss GMT? Would you get the no date Omega or a no date sub?
100% no date sub. Contradictory to Blake, but I don't love the hands on the Omega, and I don't own a no date sub, but there's something about it that I'm infatuated with. I don't know. I don't have the same appeal. The Omega doesn't have the same appeal to me But I do agree with Jen that it is beautiful, the wave dial. And I think Kelly Bird has that variation too, the white dial with the red
Okay.
strap.
Yeah. Yeah.
She comes on sometimes in the chats, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's been on the show, not the Tuesday show, but she's been on
Yeah.
Sundays a
That's
couple of
'cause-
times. Kelly's great.
That's because we're the D League here.
That's right. But
D
we
League
don't care.
Tuesdays.
Ghost of Yiddish
Did-
Gambino, $2, 100%, Jen. I mean, how many Dumonts can one person have? Well, you're pushing
Okay,
the
so-
boundary, my friend.
Okay, so Miss GMT, to fill you in on this story, if you don't know, Nate had what we call the gauntlet of power with Dumonts. He had 6 or 7 of them at one time.
He had 6.
He's like, I
He
had
called
to, I
it
have
his
to get all of
Infinity
these.
Gauntlet. He had
Yeah,
all
his
the
Infinity
colors of
Gauntlet.
his Infinity Gauntlet.
He broke it up.
And-
Wow.
Yeah, and he had it for a week, and he broke it up. And I'm like, what are you doing? And then tonight he just said, I'm gonna get another one in 2025.
It's
We're
too
like,
much power for one person.
I know.
To hold.
It's too much
possess.
power. But
That's wild.
yeah. So that's the running joke with the Santos Dumont is that he will buy every variation known to man. I know he will.
As they keep coming out with them, he keeps buying them, and then flipping them for a couple of weeks later. So I don't know.
Yep.
Yes, Ghost. He says I'm down to 3. So obviously he's got his stock back up again because stock's running low over at Nate's place on
That's
Dumont.
so funny. I mean, I do somewhat understand it. Sometimes, like a new dial variation on a watch that you just love, when it's in fun colorway, you're like, wait, I want all of them in every
Yep.
color.
That's basically what he did.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
That's what he did.
Every metal, every color.
Did you guys see the new? I have to bring it up since we're talking about ladies' watches. With my hands.
Lady Doctor.
Oh,
Did you guys see this?
Yep.
I heard about it.
I have
They
not seen
hadn't-
it yet. I like the teal one.
Like,
I
zoom in
like
on the
Tiffany
dial.
one.
Dial
Or
coming
whoever.
at you.
Sorry, I'm not sure who is
This
Oh,
you got
oof. No. That's just a weird juxtaposition.
It's like you took a tool watch and then you iced it out. and
It's having
got
an
the
identity crisis.
So, okay, I'm not a real girly girl, but for me, the dive watch is a tool, and it's meant to go underwater, and I don't necessarily associate going underwater with diamonds. So
I know, right?
my
look
first,
at-
I was like, what?
look at what's missing.
Fishing lures are meant to be shiny. So, you know what? I would love to see if someone did take this diving, like on a fish or something. Like, maybe then there's like more value because it's like a, different experience. So, I don't know. I don't dive. But that was my initial reaction. And then the dials, they're mother of pearl, correct? In different colors.
I love the dial. Take the diamonds
I do
off. I
too.
love the dial. That's a great idea. Like, see, those are the things that they can do to bring women into the fold. It's those small little things, like the mother of pearl. So it's a little different, a little more, it's not as abrupt of a juxtaposition as this is with the diamonds. It just one of the watches that I think of that works really well is the Seamaster 150, I think, with the round date window.
Oh yeah, okay.
That is one of my favorites. Like the
I think
round
that's the
date window is another thing that, at least for me, kind of calms things down a little bit. Yeah, that watch, but with a round window. Basically.
Yeah, it's the 34 millimeter of that watch. That I believe is the 41. If you can find the 34 of that watch, then that's the one with the round date window in it.
Here it is. Oh yeah, that's a good looking watch.
Beautiful dial.
Yeah.
Just like, it's just a nice, like, it's got that OP feel to it. but it's got the Omega twist. You know, the hands are a little different, but it's not. It doesn't have the rough edges, so to speak. You know.
Am I the only one who finds that Doxa supposed women's watch to be sort of insulting from a marketing perspective? It's like their marketing department thinks, just throw some diamonds on it. We got the women.
Yep.
Look at the price tag.
They're not the only brand that does that, though.
Oh,
There's
I'm
a
sure
lot.
they're not.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're not. But
That's a given.
But it's like, come on.
As someone who works in brands, they're probably all buying the same marketing data, like from the same groups and doing the same things.
$9,400. No.
I had to build the price up because it's a large price.
Wait,
No.
can we couple that with the Deloitte data from WatchFem on how much like the price ranges of women purchase intent?
Do it, Data Queen. Do it.
Yeah, let me see if I can share it. I don't know. It'll take me a while.
So Deloitte, what was it?
Yeah, it was WatchFem did the research, and they partnered with Deloitte, and basically came up with like women and watches, basically like purchase intent, the prices that they're willing to spend on a watch, what attracts them to a watch. Yeah, there you go. You got it up.
I'm quick with it.
You are.
How do you? Okay, that's about economics. We're not an economics channel here.
Oh no, it's definitely much farther down. But yeah, that price range was, there was very few. I want to say it's like less than 30 or 40% of females would spend 10K on a watch.
Right.
In their survey.
5K and below usually, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that might be it.
I'm sorry. I can't respect a watch that is called Shark Hunter and encrusted in diamonds. The two just don't match.
Okay.
Come on.
I love this watch brand, so I'm not knocking them. But there is a brand whose slogan is very cool. And I'm just like, if you have to market your watch as very cool, it's kind of not cool. I'm sorry, but like you can't.
This is a very interesting table. Look, so in the US, the most important aspect of a watch purchase is price to value ratio. UK is design. UAE is brand image, just like Singapore, India, Hong Kong, and China. Same thing for France, price to value. Germany, price to value. Italy, Japan, Switzerland, surprisingly, price to value ratio. And then for the US, right? Since we're mostly in the US, brand image is second.
Yeah.
And longevity is third most important. Kind of an interesting data set.
Yeah.
So meaning that if Doxa would have looked at that, they wouldn't have priced that watch at $9,400 or whatever it is.
Wow.
Because there ain't no price to value in $9,400.
Correct.
There's
or taken one, either launched it for half the price with just a diamond bezel, or just the mother of pearl dial and no diamonds.
Yeah. Well, I think the mother of pearl dial, they could have charged like $3,000 for that and been good.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yep. Honestly, I would buy one and then buy a secondary bezel and just take the diamond bezel off and keep it, just do a regular bezel with that dial. That dial's beautiful.
But not at that price point.
I know.
Especially if you're going to modify it, to make it your own. Yeah. Like that also is a factor.
I did see the ladies article here. I'm sure you guys are probably getting sick of my scrolling.
Like if you wanted to change the strap, that's another, you're now in it probably for like 10K or close to.
Yeah.
With tax.
Yeah.
I did see the ladies section here. New Kids on the Block. Is that you?
Really?
Oh, the future is female. Sorry.
There you go. Yeah, they're not new kids on the block.
As women's earning potential increases, they are buying watches as accessories and turning them for investment. Of those female respondents who would buy a watch as investment, 36% would do so for portfolio diversification. The untapped potential of the female watch buyer is significant. Let's see where else. In our 2022 study, we found that 44% of females prefer female-specific watch designs, while 26 favor unisex options.
So there you go, Ali. Like, yeah, in general, again, I'm N of 1, and you know, Jen is 2, so we can't speak for all women.
Right.
But the data's the data.
Well, why not? No, I'm just kidding.
No, and I thought
Yeah.
it was interesting the generational data that they took also, because my generation, Gen X, is very similar to our parents, the baby boomers, which is, you know, value retention of something. And I'm guessing Miss GMT's age group, the millennials, they're more about brand name. That's what they're going for. Then it goes back to Gen Z where they're looking for value for money also. So yeah, it's really weird, the interplay, and you see that in America. Like you see that in the stats in America. Like it makes sense. There's kind of this dichotomy there.
I'm curious. We talk a lot about watch releases, and it gets exciting for us here, at least on the stream. What's been the most recent release that you're excited for as a female?
Most exciting release.
That's a pretty damn hard question. I feel.
I'm just trying to think of all like the recent releases I've seen, because I feel like I make my opinion about them, but then sometimes I'll see them out in the wild and then either change it or I'm like, no, that's exactly what I thought.
We could open it up to, you know, the epitome of a perfect watch that you know, would be an entry door for a female collector.
Huh, that was a recent launch. Entry. Oh, Furlan Mari, the Disco Volante. I think that's a perfect entry watch. It's fun. It's unique. It has some vintage classic design. I've never seen one in person, actually. Like I've seen it on people's wrists, but I've never actually interacted with it. So I can't speak off of that. This is true, just like visual ads and I guess marketing, and Instagram.
It's a good size. So 37.
38, I think.
I think it's
Yeah, I thought it was like
37.
37.5 or something.
So, yeah, something like that. I literally was with Andrea in January, and he had a 3D printing of it at the time. That was before the watch was even released, and I got to try on a 3D printed version, but I haven't tried the real one.
Yeah, and then second to that would be, but I'm biased, so you have to take that into account.
Sure.
Because I own one, is Baltic. I loved what they've been doing recently. The Prismic collection, the stone dials. I mean, for the value there, again, I think whether you're male or female, like if you could fall in love with an agate stone, you know, on a stainless steel case. So I think that's a great entry point too. And the price was right. It was unique, so you felt like a little like special. Having that unique dial, either variation or color. It was slightly limited, so again, you know, kind of fun there. I think that's a great one as well.
Jen?
Anything excites you lately, Jen, as far as new releases or watches out there?
Well, of the stuff that I can afford, it would be actually Dibatoon. I really like the Purple Rain. I also like the Starry Sky and the Starry Various as well. I think they're fantastic pieces. The Baltics as well. The stone dials are fabulous. They're so nice. Is it Formex?
Formex, yeah.
Formex, they make some fantastic pieces as well. I've really liked some of the stuff that they've come out with, especially the colors. Fears, the mother of pearl dial Fears. Love that watch.
The Aurora Brunswick.
Oh God, so nice.
It's big though, like on the wrist. I really like it, and I would still wear it, but it is big, and their prices are still like, it's right, but like I'm worried that they're gonna get higher. And higher.
Eventually they will, I'm sure, of course, right?
I like their jumping hours too. It's like
that's a nice one.
coral. Yeah, that one's really fun. Yeah.
We will remind everybody that if they want to be in tonight's race, and we will have a race, we're going to wind up the stream about 9:30 because, quite frankly, I got to go back to bed because I'm still sick. So we're going to wind up the stream at 9:30 Central Time, 10:30 Eastern, and wherever else that is that you're at, that's where we're going to do it. So about 15, 20 minutes from now. So if you want to get into the race, we encourage you to super chat, join the channel. We'd love to have you join the channel. That also gives you access to the WhatsApp group. So love to have you in there as well. You can do a member milestone chat. You can do a super sticker. And, if you've been active in the chat and we kind of like you, then we might put you in as a free entry.
I feel like we got to throw Miss GMT in.
Oh yeah, we're going to throw Miss GMT
in
for the race tonight because it's, you might so here's how it works. If you win the race tonight, Miss GMT, you get thrown in the hat for the monthly race at the end of November, and if you win that, then you get a prize, and you're part of the year-end race if you win a monthly race for an even larger prize package. So there you go.
Love it.
So it's cool
Cost you
stuff.
nothing.
It's cool stuff. So yeah. So we just want to remind you of that. About 15 minutes away, we'll be racing. So if you want to be in the race tonight and have a chance at all of that kind of stuff like that there, just send us your money. We need money now.
We got to put Dirk Diggler in. He's Mr. Comedic Relief down there.
Yeah, he's a mess. Yeah, we might, or Dirk could buy his way in too.
Do it.
Super chat from your friend Mikey, $2. Thanks for the stream. You're welcome, Mikey. We appreciate you being in the chat this evening and also watching the stream. We really, really appreciate it. So, where do we go from here as far as we haven't obviously solved any problems tonight, nor will we. But where do we go from here as far as kind of, first of all, do we need to educate the brands on how to reach a female audience so we don't have like this doxa throw a diamond on it and charge way too damn much and say, oh, we got that covered. Where else do we need to go to get more women interested and excited about watches first and collecting second? It's a good, nice, broad, open question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think making it approachable is definitely something that helps. Like, I feel like that, and it doesn't have to be influencers, but like when you see it in someone's daily life or in the wild, I think it creates a little more meaning and acceptability and interest. So again, like maybe, we just use Doxa as the example, but if they had like a group hang or something, they could easily get like real people feedback on what they're looking for off of having that exposure. So kind of more of this like relatability and from like what people are digesting content wise perspective. Like obviously you can hire these like models and like this like beach back, beautiful, gorgeous backgrounds, but that's not everyone's real life. So I think seeing it in real life applications where you can envision you having that watch and your hobby is like shooting pool or, like something like that, like it might be more approachable.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I mentioned the collector's gene, put gene in quotation marks. Starting when I was a kid, it was clear I had the collector's gene with stamp collecting and coin collecting. And over the years, I've collected, God knows, fountain pens and pocket knives and watches and boots, what have you. And I am curious as to whether there's some cultural or genetic predisposition for men to have the collector's gene as opposed to women, or if that's not particularly true and just the collection instinct has not been nurtured by the companies that make stuff that people collect.
It's
That
it's
makes any sense.
it's so funny. I posted a meme just a couple days ago of like did anybody ever see the baby of like them taking a baby out and they like wrap it and then the nurse like somehow hits the baby in the head? Did anybody ever see that?
Yeah, I saw that. I saw it because you posted it.
Okay, yeah, that's how watch collectors are born, right there. If you get hit in the head hard enough when you're a very young child.
It's just a known thing. I mean, I used to go to a lot of fountain pen shows, and there would always be at least a few tables of people selling vintage watches and people selling cigars because they're of the crossover.
Yeah.
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 And I have yet to go to any kind of watch meetup where it doesn't become at least somewhat clear that most of that, if not all, of the people there don't just collect watches.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. And all have kind of similar interests
Yeah.
other than watches. Slip Clutch,
Yeah.
member for 16 months. Great stream. Horse ticket, please. You got it. $5 from Roy Jr. Really great panel. Great show tonight. Roy, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for being here. And $5 from Nick M. Maybe a solid 3-watch collection and being happy with that is the answer. Nothing is yours forever, not even your own body. Good point.
Facts.
But 3-watch collection is never the answer.
Yeah.
Never.
Never.
That'll never happen. That'll
Yeah,
never happen. Never ever.
I'm curious too if our ladies on the panel want to shout out, because I know Miss GMT like shouted out some names to me, and I recently, since she's came on my show, I mean she's opened up a world of the industry I've sadly never seen, and I've been following all the people that she told me to follow, and it's super cool. It's super cool to see that side of the journey as a collector. So shout out some peoples, some watch lady peoples.
Totally. There are many more of us. I feel like it's harder to find and few and far in between. I'd also love to see more females and diversity in the hobby and watch collecting. Obviously, I keep saying like Jen and I are N of one voices, whether we agree or disagree, like we can't really speak for all females. But the more females we do get, then hopefully it just creates more of a diverse perspective. So some of the people that I really appreciate, Georgia Benjamin, she does a lot of vintage. She's definitely probably one of the bigger female influencers and the watch game. Loves her vintage, loves stacking. It's so interesting to see different perspectives too, because she'll stack with a lot of jewelry. And for me, like I don't wear a lot of jewelry, but so it's just interesting. It's very different. You're getting a different perspective. I really love her profile is Sophie's Choice on Watches. And she does a lot of micro brands and independents. She's super approachable, super fun. I think she has a YouTube as well, which is awesome. And I've watched one or two and it's super informative. I'm not sure if she keeps up with it. Again, I can't consume all the watch content that I'd probably like to. So she's a great one. Chrono Girl Life, or Anna. She lives in Poland, but she'll come out for a lot of watch events in Europe, which is awesome. She has a lot of love for micro brands as well, but obviously some mainstream brands as well. If you give her profile a follow, she's awesome and super sweet, super fun. All the watch females I met are pretty badass, so I can't say anything negative about really any watch female that I've met so far, to be honest. Maybe I just don't know them well enough, I don't know. But so those are a few. Jen, do you have some you want to share?
Elena Diaz, if you don't know who Elena is, follow her. She is actually a watchmaker. And she is involved with watchmaking schools here in the United States, and she travels abroad as well. She's actually on the board, I guess. And her mentor, Nico Curio, who is another female that is teaching people how to use rose engines and learning
Ah.
guilloche and all this stuff. Fantastic stuff. Yeah, those two are great. I think her tag is CZM. I think she is a photographer, but she is also a an ambassador for D-Lugs, for Formex, and for a
Nice.
couple other watch companies. And she does a lot of their photography and stuff for them. She's fantastic. I talk with her almost daily as well. We'll do watch of the day or whatever and share, what we've found and all of that. But yeah, they're fantastic people out there. Just dig. They're there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we need to show, we need to be more embraceful. That was the reason why I think, I did my podcast. I feel like we need to be more inclusive.
Mhm.
And just going back to these, these ladies having a hard time getting into the hobby. I follow Georgia ever since Miss GMT told me to, and she was wearing, I don't know if you saw it today, but she was wearing a Cartier buckle, not buckle.
Belt.
What the
The
yes.
belt.
What,
Yeah, the belt.
what the hell am I?
With, yeah.
Something I never wear. She was wearing a belt, a Cartier Panther belt, and her post got taken down for no reason at all.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is
Yeah.
That doesn't make much sense.
no. I mean, it was an awesome post. It was super cool.
It
And
makes
I mean,
zero sense.
all the people were sharing it who I know. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Well, we're gonna.
Old Watch Lady is great too. Same with
Yeah.
Crazy by Kirk or Hannah. She has a lot of vintage stone dials and integrated bracelet watches. So that's like her style and aesthetic. So I think it's really cool to see who shares what and what they kind of gravitate towards. I'm sure it's the same on like the male counterpart side of like, what your taste is and what makes you tick as a human. So again, more diversity is welcome. I met someone at Watch Time this year who was like, I saw your channel and it inspired me to make one. So she, why am I blanking on her? I'll put it in the chat. Right now I'm blanking on her handle, but she literally just has a few videos up, but is starting. So hopefully this, gets more people welcomed into the hobby too and inspires them to do the same.
Very good. $1.99 from the cap. Race name Cause. KAWS.
No.
I don't get it, but we can name you anything.
They're talking
you want.
about the awful brand new AP collaboration with Claws that they did for the,
Oh, yeah.
I haven't even seen that yet.
Oh, it's
It's
horrendous.
it's
Can
a
you pull it
tourbillon.
up, Mitch?
Yeah,
Or
it's a
not Mitch?
tourbillon.
Can you pull it up, Blake?
Cause. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
AP.
AP Cause.
Oh, I did see that.
It makes the Cubitist look like a masterpiece.
And
As
a
an
reminder.
artist, I have an aversion to Cause anyways. Like there's some ethical things there that I'm just like, yeah, no.
Oh, is this it? Is this it, Ollie? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, please. I did see that.
Yeah.
And I quickly
saw
forgot about it.
I did too.
You can't unsee it, though. That's the problem.
You can't
Yeesh.
unsee that.
It's mega expensive because of the
AP
tourbillon, too.
is drinking the hype Kool-Aid. Like,
Yeah.
They're committed. They've committed at this
they're
point to the hype
all-
Kool-Aid.
all in on
All
hype.
in.
They
hype
broke through the
culture.
wall like the Kool-Aid man.
Yeah.
They're in
Oh
it.
yeah.
with pictures of hype.
Just go follow Miss GMT, and there is her link. It is in the chat, so please go give her a follow. And it's fantastic. It was fantastic to have you on, Miss GMT. Really appreciate you taking some time with us tonight to talk about this subject. And you are welcome back anytime you want. You know where we are.
Yes.
We'll give you 2 minutes to the race. 2 minutes to the race. Anybody want to get a last race entry in? You have 2 minutes. We're giving Miss GMT an entry, and we're going to give Bill D29 an entry because apparently he had problems making a super chat. So we will throw that in there as well. And
What happened?
Oh, go ahead.
What happened to what?
I was going to say what happened to our Mr. GMT.
Yeah, Mr. GMT hasn't been on tonight.
Yeah,
but
what's up with that? It was supposed
I
to
don't
be
know,
a
maybe
clash
Miss
of the
GMT.
GMTs.
You were going to find out, if you've never seen him, who Mr. GMT is, because we always play one of his commercials at the end of the show.
Commercial.
So you will see Mr. GMT. So hang with us. Bubba Hotep, I have a new watch strategy for you, Blake. Go to your AD and tell him you'd like to buy a lady's watch, a lady's Rolex Panda.
Bubba, you know too much. You know too much.
Oh, that's so good.
Oh boy.
Every time I get passed up or I get frustrated with my dealer, I just call Bubba and just complain and cry and.
I'm so old.
There's Mr. GMT up in the corner. Wow, look at that.
I'm so old. I can remember. I remember going into a Rolex dealer and just buying a watch.
Yeah.
That's how I got into it. That's literally what I thought would happen, but I didn't have the same.
It's like
that's literally what got me into the hobby, was going in thinking I could buy one and then being like, "What do you mean? There's a wait list. What wait list?" Like,
isn't it so weird that "Hey, take my money" doesn't work anymore?
Oh,
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
Yeah. Those must have been the days.
Then again, I remember when you could get a discount on Longa and Rolex from an AD, but not on Panerai. It's a completely different universe.
If I were to take a time machine, I would buy a fuck ton of Rolexes. I would buy Bitcoin again.
Again.
And Nvidia. Again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, if I had a time machine, the watches I would buy, if you ever have flipped through a vintage like watch catalog or even auction catalog, oh my gosh, like I would have like the biggest list, like a CVS receipt, just like non-stop. I mean, like you flip through these books and it's like $1,000, and now I'm like, well, that like 100x, like crazy.
$375 for a Daytona.
Yeah.
I'll take 20.
So we want to thank Hot Watcher for the $2. Great show. And our last entry of the night, Uzi. Love the show. Thank you, Uzi. We appreciate that. It is time to get our race on. Anybody else want to call this? No, I'll call it.
Do it.
Let me see if I can get through it without
turkeys. Is it turkeys?
Turkeys.
Yeah.
Oh, fun.
All right, here we go. We've got Nick M, Roy Jr., old timey, jumped out in front and then quickly sent to the back. Uzi is second place. Nick M and Roy Jr. still out there in front. Got Miss GMT, JJ's Mold. That's Nate, by the way. The captain, One Day Retro, Bill D coming in up at the top. Uncle Mikey, Hot Watcher, Slip Clutch, and Old Timey in the back. But you know how these races go. Who's ever in front now might not be in front at the end. And Nate is coming up fast on Nick M. But we're waiting to see who else is going to make a last-minute charge. Here comes Bubba. And there is our special guest, Miss GMT, who's going to win it.
Oh, my goodness.
That
came from left
won
field.
It.
Wow.
Oh, I tell ya.
Hilarious. I love that.
And then a $4.99 from Kurt. Why you got to make it about race, Robert? Love you, Kurt.
Guys,
oh my God,
we don't know how to.
My best friends here in Austin.
We don't know how to rig this, guys.
That's right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, we don't. So, Miss GMT, you'll have to tune back in later in the month and see if you're the monthly winner and see where we go from here. But that's awesome. We want to thank Miss GMT for being in this evening. Thank all of you guys for joining us as well. And we take you out with the fabulous Mr. GMT.
Can't beat my meat. Awesome homemade Greek style food. Come and get it. Our awesome gyros. Come and get it. Our big breakfast. Come and get it. Our Wednesday special charcoal pork shifty and souvlaki. Come and get it. Our Thursday special cabbage roll day. Come and get it. And our biggest seller, Souvla Day. Tuesday, Friday, Come and get it! And don't forget, in 2024,